Okay, and share the screen. Okay, so we are in, no, where did it go? Okay, so we are in this chapter 22. So orbits of the planets. So we are trying to find out where the orbits are. Okay, so you have a pen and paper, right? So now let us read this. It's a very beautiful thing to read, the Bhagavatam. The sun god who controls the affairs of the entire universe, especially in regard to heat, light, seasonal changes. Now, in the Vedic astronomy, okay, the earth doesn't move around the sun. The sun and all the planets, they move around the earth. So we are geocentric. So we are geocentric. So geocentric means the earth is stationary and the earth doesn't have that circular movement. So many places I was actually doing some research to explain the precision of equinoxes and this, and many places they say the earth revolves around its own axis and this and that. No, if you read here, the sun god.
Prabhuji, I'm so sorry, Prabhuji. Your screen is in email, Prabhu. Please, your Bhagavatam is not showing.
Your screen is what? How many can see the screen?
No, everybody see that the email, Prabhu, Gmail. You're not the Bhagavatam.
We are able to see your screen, Prabhu, but we are seeing your Gmail screen, not the Vedabase screen.
Oh, okay. Oh, I think it. Oh, because I moved the. Okay, now I think. Okay, wait. What will you do with my Gmail? My bank account is not there on that. Okay. Okay, here you go. Okay, is it fine? Okay. So
yes, Prabhuji, yes.
So, so the sun is a representative of Lord Narayana, and the sun goes around. Okay, every 24 hours, the sun goes around the earth, according to the Bhagavatam. Now remember this much. The sun goes around the, so there is the earth. So look at this. The earth is here, okay? Let me just stop sharing the screen and let me just show you the full screen. So this is the earth. Now the sun goes around the earth. And every 24 hours when the sun goes around the earth. So now the most beautiful thing is, now the earth is like this here, okay? And you have, for example, now this is the earth planet, sphere, and you are sticking out like this. So this is India here, okay? And you are sticking out like this. Now the earth comes, the sun comes around, and you see that the sun, then this is the ocean. You are standing here like this, okay? You are sticking out like this. This is the earth planet. And the sun goes and it sinks into the ocean. Do you see when it comes around? And you are watching it sinking into the ocean. Actually, it's going around. Right? So every 24 hours, according to the Srimad Bhagavatam, the sun goes around the earth. And not only the sun, the entire Antariksha. So all the 12 Rashis, okay? So So all the 12 Rashis, all the planetary, there is a structure which is connected to the Dhruvatara. Which is connected to the Dhruvatara. And it goes around every 24 hours. So every 24 hours it goes around. Now, when this happens, so the position, so there is a movement of the entire antariksha, so to speak. It goes around. Okay, so it is moving like this. Now, within that, nakshatra, the stars, they are fixed. Means they do not change their position, nakshatras, right? So the 12 houses and the nakshatras, they are fixed. They do not change their position. So what changes its position? The planet within this. So for example, there is a merry-go-round going around with its base. Okay, so there is a merry-go-round which is going around with its base. So when the and you are running on the base of that merry-go-round. So merry-go-round is going around, and then you are standing on the base of that merry-go-round. Okay, and you are running with it. Now you can go running around with the merry-go-round. You can go slower, you can go faster. Can you get it? Everybody got what I'm explaining? So there is a merry-go-round, right? And there are
Not
horses.
yet, Prabhu. I'm not understand yet, Prabhu.
Okay, so now there is a merry-go-round, okay? Everybody understand? So there is a merry-go-round, okay? In that merry-go-round, there is horses, right? Chairs, elephants, different toys, right? Now, when the merry-go-round is going around, you are standing on the base, like where it is going around. And you stand there. And some of them are sitting on the horse, some of them are, the kids are sitting on the horse, the elephant and everything. And the merry-go-round is going fast. Okay. Now you are standing next to on the base of the merry-go-round. So you can run along with it. You can go, if you stand, you move along with it. Now, if you want to run faster, you run faster than that. Or if you just reverse, you can go slower than that, right? You can go in a reverse direction also. So what happens is the earth is stationary. The antariksha is moving every 24 hours. All the planets and stars. So the 12 houses, they are moving. Okay. And the planets are at different heights. Now each planet within that movement is moving at its own speed. At the same time, it is said the earth, it moves a little bit. From the point of view of the earth, you are looking at a moving planetary system. Now the point of view with which you look at the earth, from the earth to these planets, that is actually, now coming to Naika's question, that is what is actually Ayanamsha. So Ayanamsha for a place, so from, if this is the earth, if I am sticking out here in North America, my view of the planet is different. Now, if I come to the other side of the globe, I come to India and I'm sticking out like this. So my view is, so there is a slight difference in the angular view of viewing the planets. Okay. So many people, so this is called as precession of equinoxes. So precession of equinoxes means the earth is not exactly straight. Second of all, it is a sphere. So from the point of view, so the planetary angle. So what is horoscope basically? Horoscope means now when a child is born, imagine I turn off all the lights and I just view the sky and I look at the planetary positions right above me. right now, and I cast them in a horoscope. That is actually horoscope, means I draw the 360 degree, but we put it in a square. The South Indian system, we put it in a square, but it is the same 360 degree. I look above and I am watching. See, now the planets are at different heights. Now we will draw that. Okay, the planets are at different heights, but when I'm looking here, now I'm in Las Vegas. So when I'm looking from here, now all the planets, I'm not able to see the heights because I'm looking from below, right? But I can see the plane where they are in the 360 degree. Okay. Now when I put that together, I mark that, then that is your horoscope, where the planets are. Now adding to that, you have to understand what is called as Lagna, means what is on the eastern horizon, which sign, exact degree of the sign which is on the eastern horizon, that is called as Lagna, the starting point. Why is the starting point important? Because the starting point gives you, first house is your personality, second house is your money, third house is your communication, fourth house is your house situation, fifth house is your Purva Punya, sixth house is health and enemies, seventh house is marriage, eighth house is longevity, ninth house is bhagyam and spirituality, 10th house is your occupation, 11th house is your benefits, extra margins, profits, and 12th house is moksham or loss, both. So each house, so it determines, so everybody when they are born, whichever sign was in the eastern horizon, that is their lagna. Okay. Now coming back to Bhagavatam, so let me share the screen now. So I want to read this beautiful part. So what happens is, okay, now let's read this. It's very beautiful. The sun god who controls the affairs of the entire universe, especially in regard to heat, light, seasonal changes, and so on, is considered an expansion of Narayana. So sun is an expansion of who? Narayana. Right? That is why when you do Gayatri, you meditate on Surya Narayana. Because he is the visible Narayana. Narayana is in your heart. Right? But you cannot see right now. Maybe by the end of this course, you'll be self-realized and you'll be able to see. Okay. No guarantees, but maybe. But there is Surya Narayana. The sun god has expanded himself into 12 divisions. So the sun god has expanded himself into 12 divisions. And thus he controls the 6 seasonal changes and causes winter, summer, rain, and so on. So if you want to control climate change, what you should do? You should worship sun god. Can somebody tell this to Greta Thunberg? Anyway, she won't do, but we will do it. So if you worship Narayana, you can control the seasons. So yogis and karmis, following the Varnashrama institution, who practice Hatha Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga, who perform Agnihotra sacrifices, worship Surya Narayana for their own benefit. So that includes me, yogi. So the demigod Surya is always in touch with the supreme personality of Godhead, Narayana. Residing in outer space, which is in the middle of the universe between Bhurloka and Bhuvarloka. Okay, now we will draw that. Okay, that is why I keep a pen and paper ready. Bhuloka and Bhuvarloka. The sun rotates through the time circle of zodiac, represented by 12 rashis or signs, and assumes different names according to the signs he is in. For the moon, every month is divided into 2 fortnights. So today is full moon, right? So almost Tithi. So the full month lasts about 28 days. So there is Shukla Paksha and Krishna Paksha. For the moon, every month is divided into 2 fortnights. Similarly, according to solar calculations, a month is equal to the time. According to the solar calculations, a month is equal to the time the sun spends in a constellation. So approximately in one of the 12 houses, so the sky is divided into 360 degree, 30 degree each house. So 360 degree divided by 30 is 12 houses. Right? Astrology should be good at math. If you are slow at math, please use your kids' math book and get your maths right. Okay. Astrology means you should be very good at math. Hmm? So, so, so for the moon, so that is for the sun, right? For the moon, every month is divided into 2 fortnights. Okay, for the sun, so the entire sky is divided into 2 halves. Each represents one ayana. Okay, so the sun, remember, so this is the earth. Okay, so the sun, the orbit of the sun in the first 6 months, January to June, is on top of the earth. So the northern hemisphere gets 6 months of sunlight. It is going around. So every 24 hours, the sun is going around like this. And then the sun comes to slowly it comes down into the southern, below the earth, little bit. So then the southern half of the earth planet, it gets sunlight for 6 months. That is called as Dakshinayana. Right? So this is in the Bhagavatam only, you have to understand. This is either in Surya Siddhanta or it is in Bhagavatam. So, so the sun travels sometimes slowly, sometimes swiftly, depending on sometimes at a moderate speed. So that is why there is correction. Adhik Mas coming, right? This year, Adhik Mas, extra month, because of all these adjustments. The orbits are referred to by Samvatsara, Parivatsara, Idavatsara, Anuvatsara, and Vatsara. The moon is situated 100,000 yojanas above the rays of sunshine. So this is the earth. The distance wise, sun is further. Okay, sun is about 108,000 miles from the earth. Okay, request everybody to mute. 1 second. Okay, let me just open. Okay. So, so the sun is, so this is the earth, the sun is 108,000 miles away, okay? But the plane of the sun, so the earth is here, the plane of the sun is a little higher than the earth. But moon is closer to the earth, but he is a little higher in height. Okay, so this is what I want you to draw today. So then, so height, so the moon is 100,000 above the sun, from the height of the sun. So that is why Prabhupada said, moon is further away than the sun. And everybody got confused. Moon is further away than the sun? How? So moon height wise is further away. So Prabhupada said, why is Monday after Sunday? Everybody was confused. Monday after Sunday? This is an example. This is an example. That is why it is Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Saturn is the farthest. It is in the Bhagavatam. Right? So that is why our course is Vaishnava understanding of astrology. So above the moon by a distance of 200,000 yojanas are the stars. So sun, moon, and the stars. And above the stars is Shukra, Venus, whose influence, then there is Shukra, then there is Buddha. And after Buddha, there is Angaraka. Then above Angaraka, there is Brahaspati. Then lastly, there is Saturn. So now we will see how this whole thing manifests. So you have the pen and paper. So we will start making these. So I already explained in summary. So the sun god who is Narayana or Vishnu, the soul of all the world. So remember, in the astrology, sun represents Atma or the soul, because he directly is in touch with Narayana. The Surya is referred to as Atma, Atma Graha. So your spiritual progress is also a lot depends on the position of Surya. Management in the material atmosphere, sun represents the management. So the aggregate of these 12 months is called Samvatsara. or entire year. Anyway, the sun god. So there are different things. Okay, now let's draw on the page. So let's take a page. Okay, let me also draw with you. So let's draw the earth. And just so here you go. So I'm just drawing the earth here. Okay. Now all the planets I will draw in the different heights here. So this is the earth. Okay. And we have to mark the distance. Now, now I will stop. I will just read these. I'll stop sharing. I'll just read this. So now I have represented the earth. Okay. So now the first planet I will represent is the sun. Okay. So this is the sun. Because the sun directly goes around the earth. So remember, the sun is going around the earth, and when it is in the northern, on the northern half of the earth, the upper half, then it is Uttarayana, the 6 months of where this top half, that is the Uttarayana, the northern half, North Pole, it gets 6 months of sunshine. As the seasons go, the sun actually, the orbit of the sun goes towards the earth, and then it goes a little bit below the earth. Doesn't happen with all the other planets. It happens only with the sun. Okay. So the sun goes above the earth, then in Dakshinayana, sun goes below the earth. Okay. But it is going around a circle. So every 24 hours, the sun goes around the earth. Okay. So the first is the sun. You can draw actually sun a little further away, but anyway, so that's fine. So then comes moon. Okay, so then comes the moon. We can see. Okay, and then so anyone who is not able to get the thing directly, you can call me on WhatsApp or Messenger or something. So there is the moon. Okay. Now moon is at a height. So what is the height? So what is the height of the moon here? Above the rays of the sunshine, by a distance of 100,000 yojanas is the moon. Okay. And what does it say? Let me put this at the top. Which travels at a speed faster than that of the sun. Yes, because the moon covers each house in the horoscope every 2.5 days. Sun takes 1 month to cover. So the moon travels faster. Very fast compared to that. So it is moon, the height is 100,000 yojanas. Okay, the height is 100,000 yojanas. So, okay, so we have to do a group call. So there's one more devotee who is. Okay, I'm on one WhatsApp call already. I cannot add another one. So you can I'm not sure how else we can join. Anyways, so please try to. I'm already on one WhatsApp call. I could not add another one. If anybody is joining, you can just join the audio, like turn off the video and join the audio. But anyway, so this is the moon. Okay. So then after the moon, so moon represents, so because the moon is full of all potentialities, it represents the influence of Supreme Personality of Godhead. The moon is predominating deity in everyone's mind. So moon represents the mind in horoscope. Therefore, moon god is called Manomaya. He is also called Annamaya. So that is why we did this Chandrayana fast. I shared one this thing, right, in the group. The Chandrayana fast is amazing because the moon represents both mind and moon represents Annamaya, the food, energy in food. Because he gives potency to herbs and plants, he is called Amrutamaya because he is the source of life for all living entities. The moon pleases demigods, pitas, human beings, reptiles, birds, plants, trees. Everyone is satisfied by the presence of the moon. So there are many stars located 200,000 yojanas above the moon. Okay, so the moon is here. From the moon, I go another 200,000. It may not be to scale. So then there is the stars called as Antariksha. So this is Antariksha. So you have the sun, then comes the moon, then there is the Antariksha, the stars. Okay? You cannot see. Once again, let me stop the share screen. So now you can see. So first we drew the sun. So the height of 100,000 is the moon, and then comes the stars. 200,000. So Antariksha. So all the 27 stars, remember, who are they? Who are the 27 stars? They are the wives of moon. The 27 stars. So all these stars, not film stars, but stars. So they are all at a height of 200,000. So the moon has to travel so much to meet his wife. Their residence place is 200,000. So our distance is 2 miles. His distance to meet his wives are 200,000 miles. That's not a big deal. He can travel fast. Okay. So now, after that, the next one, after the stars, 160,000 miles above is Venus. Okay. So 160,000 miles above is Venus. So we drew this now so far. So here is the sun. So this 100,000 became a little bit more. It's okay. So comes the moon, then the stars, then comes Venus. Okay.
Hello.
Yes.
One
What is that?
This Venus is 160 miles, 160,000 miles or 160,000 yojanas?
160,000 miles. 160,000. Oh, good question. 160,000 miles. 1,600,000 miles. So I think in the translation, it is given not in yojanas, it is given in miles directly. So that you don't have to calculate. So when you travel, ensure that you have enough gas when you go to the Venus. So make sure your vehicle travels that much. Anyway, so 1,600,000 miles, or 7,200,000 miles above the earth. It's not very far. It's only 7,200,000 miles above the earth. Okay. I don't know which rocket will go there. They want to go to Mars, this, that. It's simply throwing stones, you know. So 1,600,000 above the, so it's really far. Frankly speaking, it's very far. But you can imagine it's almost like a million miles away. It still influences the earth so in a big way. Okay, now along with it about there, Mercury, which is the son of the moon, is Venus. Okay, 1,600,000 is Venus. Sometimes Venus moves behind the sun, sometimes in front of the sun, and sometimes along with it. Venus nullifies the influence of planets that are obstacles to rainfall. Consequently, its presence causes rainfall, which is therefore considered very favorable for all living entities within this universe. Okay, so Venus is very, very auspicious planet. I also came to Krishna consciousness during Mercury Dasha Venus Bhukti. And in this Venus Bhukti, I went to Vrindavan, India. And I met Aindra Prabhu. Of course, in Manipal, I met devotees. So Venus Dasha is very, very auspicious for devotees, for spiritual life. Venus is a very, very auspicious planet. So that is why whoever is in their Venus period, they are the best chance of becoming devotees. Okay. All right. So after Venus, group of stars above this is planet Venus, which is almost moves. Okay, so Mercury is described similar to Venus. So Mercury is also good. So Mercury is the son of moon god, Soma. Mercury, which is the son of the moon, is almost always very auspicious for the inhabitants of the universe, but it does not move along with the sun. It forebodes cyclones, dust, irregular rainfall, waterless clouds. In this way, it creates fearful conditions due to inadequate or excess rainfall. So that is why they say in astrology, many people are scared of this term called Mercury retrograde. Now you see in this Bhagavatam description that Mercury causes so many negative influences. So Mercury is the son of the moon. And Mercury is actually a very, very purifying planet, in the sense, the Lord of Mercury in the 10 astrological this thing, the Lord of Mercury is Buddha. The Lord of Mercury is Buddha. And Buddha, the Lord of Mercury, is Buddha is the Lord of Buddha. So what it means is that Mercury is also representative of your nervous system in the horoscope. And he can cause nervous stress. Mercury Dasha is extremely nerve wracking. So one needs to know techniques of calming down like Buddha. So Mercury Dasha means then you have to give them breathing exercises, relaxation, you know, so Buddha. So Mercury is described similar to Venus. Okay, so let me go back to the earlier part here just to make sure. Above Shukra Graha by 200,000 yojanas is Buddha Graha. So there is Venus, and after Venus, 200,000 miles higher is Mercury. Now you can just make just a, I mean, you did not make it to scale. So there is the Earth, Sun, Moon, stars, Venus, Mercury so far. Okay. So then above Venus 200,000 miles is the Mercury. Then above Mercury 200,000 miles is the Mars. Okay. And above Mars 200,000 miles is the Jupiter, and above Jupiter is Saturn. By how much we will see. So from these verses, so above, situated 1,600,000 miles above Mercury is Mars. Then situated above Mars is Jupiter, and again then finally Saturn is much higher. So Saturn is 4 times the height compared to it is 1,100,000 yojanas. So Saturn is the farthest. So Saturn is the farthest. So it is 1,100,000 yojanas. Then there is the Saturn. So usually it is about 200,000 miles. So anyway, the distances we can see there. So this is the Earth. Okay, so this is the Earth. Then there is Sun, Moon. So after the Moon, there is the Antariksha, the stars. So after the stars, we have Venus. So 200,000 yojanas. So 200,000 yojanas is 1 million into 8. So yojanas into 8. So 200,000 yojanas means 1,600,000 miles. So 200,000, 200,000, 200,000, 200,000. So then that is Venus, Mercury, Mars, Jupiter. Then finally the distance between the Jupiter and Saturn. Finally, the distance between Jupiter and Saturn is 1,100,000 miles. So they have given here the distance from the Earth is about 20,800,000 miles above the Earth. Okay, just a small correction here. So the distance between Jupiter and Saturn is the same. Again, it is 200,000. Okay, so there is a slight correction. So that is Saturn. Now from Saturn, the Saturn, 1,100,000 miles above the Saturn is the Dhruvatara and the sages. Okay. So let me write it in a better way here. So this is the Earth. I'm just putting it down together. Okay. one final time here. So this is the, so let us start. I'm just putting it once again. So Earth, so then you have the sun, okay? Now from the sun, so from the sun you measure to the moon, it is 100,000 miles, right? From the moon, okay, Rupa Gaura Prabhu is saying that I came to Krishna consciousness in my Venus Dasha. Okay, one more example. So from the moon, height of 200,000 is the stars. From the stars, again height of 200,000 is Venus. So every planetary system is, every planet is 200,000 above the other. So then comes Mercury, then comes Mars. From Mars, you have 200,000 again, and then you have Jupiter. Now from the Jupiter, again 200,000, you have Saturn. Okay, and so 1 yojana is 8 miles. And then you have between Jupiter and Saturn, again it's 200,000, and finally 1,100,000 between Saturn and the pole star Dhruva Tara and the 7 rishis. So this is how it comes to. It's a very bad handwriting, but you can see. So this is the heights. So when I'm looking from below, actually what happens is, for example, Jupiter can be here, Mars can be here, Venus can be here. The stars remain the same. So you can see, for example, the planets are at a different height, but they can be at different locations on the orbit. So when I look from below, I look at the different where they are in the orbit. So I am seeing, when I look at it from the orbital position from below, then I see the 7 planets, for example, like this, right? From below, I am seeing only the where they are. I am not seeing the heights. I'm just viewing the planets on a 360-degree plane. Okay, but the height wise, they are like this. They are at these heights, and they have their orbit at these heights. Now what happens is, interestingly, the Dhruva Tara remains fixed. All the other orbits that are there, every 24 hours, this whole thing is turning around the Earth. The Earth is stationary, Dhruva Tara is stationary. In between, everything is moving. Some people say the Earth is moving. The Western, you should watch this movie in krishnatube.com. There is this, is it possible using a whiteboard to show? I don't know how whiteboard works in Zoom. So that is why I'm using white paper. But maybe next class I'll try to figure it out. Okay, or I'll try to figure out something where I can do a screen. So that's why I took pen and paper. So what happens is, these different heights that you see.
Prabhu, you were telling one movie from Krishna Tube.
What is that?
One movie you were mentioning from Krishna Tube for us to view.
Movie, yeah, the krishnatube.com. There is, maybe I'll share the link in the group. Mysteries of the Universe by Danavir Maharaj. Mysteries of the, I watched that movie 200 times. So I watched that movie 200 times because it takes so much to understand. That is why I could explain all this today with confidence, because the Bhagavatam is a big mystery. Now, when you connect all of this, very interestingly, when you connect all of this, the picture is that of a Shishumara, dolphin. If you connect all of that. The way the orbits are, if you connect all of that, it's a dolphin, Shishumara planetary system. So maybe one day we can, after our course is over, one day we can do the Shishumara planetary meditation. So in my yoga, I'm doing a guided meditation. So I do the Shishumara planetary system. I'll share it in the group, the link to the movie in the WhatsApp so that you can watch it. Okay. So, so basically, if you look at the planetary heights, so we can see what are the effects they cause. Right now, which planet is causing the biggest problem? Shani is sitting in his own house. Saturn is sitting in his own house. Saturn is the planet of law. So there is a law and order problem. It is not law and order problem. The Saturn is purifying the karma of the universe. And people are still not learning what is the cause. They want to get back to normal. The main cause is disobedience of the laws of nature. The killing of cows, especially. Killing of cows, abuse of cows. And unfortunately, most of our temples also, they collect money in the name of cow and cheat the people. So that is also, the dharmic cheating is also worse. So both ways, the materialists are cheating, and so to speak, our temples are also cheating, saying collecting money in the name of cow. When you cheat the cow, finished. The civilization is finished. That place, there is no spirituality. Although it's a temple, when you collect in the money in the name of cow and don't use it for the cow, that place is finished. You can never cheat the cow. The whole civilization is actually cheating the cow. That is why they are suffering. And nobody will understand this. They will now, one person was killed and everybody is making a big issue. So many cows are killed. So many cows are killed. Who is making an issue for that? The same unrest should have been for cow killing. And then the whole world will change. One elephant is killed and such a big issue. So many cows are killed. So Shani will sit there until and unless. So the Ajamila's example is very important. Ajamila's example is very, very important. So in the Ajamila's example, we see that he chanted offenselessly. When you understand the mistake and offenselessly, you sincerely correct the mentality. See, Brahmaji, when he got attracted to Saraswati, he gave up his body. He gave up his body means what? So when he gives up his body, Brahma, he gives up the mentality by which he got attracted to Saraswati. So we have to give up that mentality. That is tapasya. That is why we do Chandrayaan. So that is why the example of the moon is very, very important. So 1 month of fasting along with the moon, regulated fasting, meditation, chanting along with the moon, that purifies the karma from the mind. Okay, another question is, if money collected for food for life invested in temple, it will count in karma? Of course. We may say transcendental, but as long as you are making your living out of it. Okay, let me give you one example to clarify all this doubt. When Tirumangai Alvar, he was building the temple of Ranganatha. When Tirumangai Alvar built the temple of Ranganatha in South India, he employed some mystic, his disciples, mystic people, and thieves to loot people. And they looted people. They looted people and they got money and they used it to build the temple. And finally, he killed all of them by sinking them in a boat, and all of them got liberated. Okay, that's a long story. I'm just telling it in short. All those robbers, they attained Vaikuntha. Now the interesting part is when all that money was collected, he did not eat even a morsel of rice with that money. He used it 100% in the service of Krishna. 100% in the service of Krishna. Not even one farthing for himself. He personally, for his own diet, for his own food, he used to go and beg. He used to go and beg and eat. So when you are collecting money, food for life or food for death or whatever, when you collect this money and you eat from that, thinking it is okay, and or you take money, you make your living out of that as fundraising expenses, as it happens in most temples, you also get the karma of telling lies, right? Like in most places they collect. I know, and I was also doing that in one of our temples. And how such a bad karma it is. You collect money in the name of the cow and then you make salary out of it, right? So much bad karma you are getting because it is meant for the cow. That is why you may get money, the temples may get money, but you get so much bad karma, you don't get any spiritual growth. So you should be very, very careful. So these planets are there, they are recording all your karma. And all these 7 planets within you, 7 chakras within you, from the lower planetary system, from the Mooladhara. So Mooladhara, Swadhisthana, all these 7 planets, so all these 7 chakras, they are connected to these 7 planetary systems, not these 7 planets as such. So these planets lie in the 7 planetary system. So in the Gayatri, we refer to Bhur, Bhuva, Swaha, earth, water, fire. So then it gets subtle. Air, ether. Om, Bhur Loka, Bhu, Bhuva, Bhur Loka, Bhuvar Loka, Bhu Loka, Bhuvar Loka, Jana Loka, Tapa Loka, Mahar Loka, like, Tapa Loka, Satya Loka, right? It goes these 7 lokas. So your chakras are also connected to these 7 planetary systems. And they affect that each planet also, say like the moon affects the mind. Okay. Mercury affects the nervous system. Venus, it affects your spiritual life and your wealth. Mars, it affects your blood and Kshatriya spirit, fighting spirit, energy levels. Jupiter, it affects your learning, spirituality, thoughts. Then there is Saturn. Now Saturn affects the air, gas, bones. Saturn is also affecting hard work. Now the Lord of Sun is Rama. The Lord of Sun is Rama. The Lord of Moon is Krishna himself. That is why Bhagavatam is donated on a full moon. Moon also is cow. So that is why those who collect and cheat in the name of cow, those who kill the cow, those who give trouble to the cow, those who feed plastic to the cow, so they get their minds are off because the moon withdraws his mercy. So that is why the whole world is mad, because they are mistreating the cow. And Krishna, of course. So the moon. Then there is stars, Antariksha. So stars, which star you are born, so that is auspicious, inauspicious, it gives you then there is Venus, right? Even by not condemning act of cow killing, do we incur karma? So basically we are supposed to do our varnashrama dharma. So that is why as long as you are doing dharma, you don't incur karma. So either you are doing varnashrama dharma or you are doing pure Krishna consciousness. Now in pure Krishna consciousness, this food for life, this and that is all fundraising for temple, but it is not Krishna consciousness. Krishna consciousness is hearing, chanting, surrendering unto Krishna. All social work is an additional thing to maintain temples. There is nothing spiritual about it. Although it's an act of reaching out to people, social activity, you can say one kind of karma, but in a way you're trying to reach out to people and bring them, but the actual Krishna conscious activity is not just about eating. It is about hearing, chanting, primary activities. As long as you are doing your primary activities, you are free from karma. So then Jayadvaita Swami has written an article for Food for Death. You can read that. Okay, sorry for being a bit radical, but astrologically karma counts. Then we have Venus. The lord of Venus is Parashurama, Shukra, Parashurama. So those who have Venus weak, so they should worship Parashurama. Mercury is Buddha. So Mercury is nerve-wracking. So those who have Mercury Dasha, immediately they should become Buddhist, shave their head and they should do pranayama, right? No, they should become calm. So Buddha Dasha, Mercury. It really, see, every Dasha, fortunately or unfortunately, it leaves you and in Kali Yuga, you only pick up bad habits. It gets worse and worse and worse. By the time people reach 45, 50, they call it midlife crisis. But actually you should find your way, you should find your dharma, because what happens is that when you are in a career path, if you are not doing your dharma, you don't feel satisfaction in the heart. Only you have money. Like rich people, they are the maddest people. Just like this Elon Musk, he appeared in one television show, he was smoking. I mean, can't you live without smoking? Can't you live with a calm body and mind, controlled senses? Why should you smoke? That shows the level of dissatisfaction that he is doing. Then they want to go to space, then they want to go to bathroom, then they want to go here, they want to go there. It never ends. So the mind is going crazy, trying to satisfy. So that is why dharma means that which satisfies the heart. Ye atma suprasidati. So there is varnashrama dharma and there is bhagavad dharma. So what I am doing here is a mix. I am doing my varnashrama dharma. I'm teaching astrology, I'm trying to be Brahminical. But at the same time, I am inducing straight from the Bhagavatam. Although it is not 100% Bhagavad Dharma, but I'm getting there, right? We understand both the material and spiritual effects. But when we are only focused on Krishna and the spiritual effects only, then it is Bhagavad Dharma, 100%. So after Mars come Venus, but in weekdays, Guru or Shukra, I was expecting that question. So Prabhupada only explained Sundays longer, Sunday is after Monday. So Monday is after Sunday. So it doesn't actually come that way. So Sunday and Monday are there, but others, as we can see, doesn't match exactly because Jupiter and Saturn literally come in the end. So it is, Prabhupada just used that as an example to argue. Prabhupada had Rahu prominent in his horoscope. So last class we will do Prabhupada's horoscope. Is there any logic used to name the weekdays? So actually the logic used to name when the sunrise happens. So the day is also divided into hora. So hora means English word. So the Sanskrit word hora is the root of the English word hour. So every hour a different planet dominates. So every hour a different planet dominates. So it keeps what do you call it? One second. Some urgent message. So if we see that every planet that we see has our Lord. Okay. Okay, the link gave me order of rotation of Hora. Yes. So what happens is the planet at the sunrise, Muhurta, that is, so every day it changes. So one day the sun is dominating the hour at sunrise, the one day, the next day the moon. Then you see Tuesday it is Mars, which is rising at the hour of the sunrise. So then whichever hour, whichever planet is dominating at the hour of sunrise, so that day it is decided according to the cycle. So that's how the cycle works. You cannot exactly like this. But Prabhupada used that as a unique example to talk about Sunday and Monday. That was very unique. Only Prabhupada could come up with that logic, because in Prabhupada's horoscope, Rahu is prominent. So when Rahu is prominent, he was good in debating, yes. Because Rahu chops off. Prabhupada used the chopping technique, right, to preach. He used to literally chop you off your feet. Like everybody's philosophy is today, I am okay, you are okay, we are all friends, we are all same, we are all this. Prabhupada said, I am okay, you are not okay. Right? Prabhupada said, I am okay, you are not okay. So that is how Prabhupada was. So, and Prabhupada and Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati also in Kali Yuga, because we are so demoniac, all of us have so much demoniac tendencies within us, correct? That is why we are addicted to gadgets, because all demoniac tendencies are there. So in Kali Yuga, you cannot tell people, please take to Krishna consciousness, so nice, this and that, you know, you become nice guy. You see the recent statement. So there was somebody like in India, they put a case, right? Some lady made a fun of ISKCON and now they are going to court. So if you say, please don't make joke of ISKCON, this is not good, no, this is this, no, that, no. You cannot make all that. Okay, here you go. You go to court. We'll see you in court. Let's see you there. You have to be, you know, and then they will shake up. Because in Tamoguna, the good sense doesn't enter. In Tamoguna, you have to chop. So that is why Prabhupada and Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, they did not take like, I am okay, you are okay. Maybe that is also okay. Maybe you do this also is okay. No. Chop. This is it, you know. So astrology is also the science of precision cutting, the law of karma. So we should also know how law of karma acts, how law of, what are the little things, you know. Basically, remember, if you give up the mentality with which you committed the sin, for example, it is said, if somebody murders or somebody commits a sin which is like absolutely irreparable, then you deliver him from this body. That is why they kill. It is not that they want you to kill, but when your mentality becomes unchangeable within this body, so then they have to hang you, because the mind, it needs a freedom from this body and this situation to put itself in a better situation, so that this mentality is gone. Because if this mentality remains, he causes more harm to himself. So how to apply astrology is to change the mentality of that person to Krishna consciousness. So remember, we went through so many animal species, we went through so many human births. There are 84,840 million species. Each species has a different mentality. For example, the black widow spider, right? The black widow spider, she kills her husband and she enjoys something else. You know, there is a crazy thing about it. Similarly, a snake, it enjoys enviousness, biting others. So this is a mentality. So you find humans also with similar mentalities, right? So what happens is, according to karma, according to the astrological effect, the effect of these different planets, that particular mentality becomes heavy, and that causes distress. So you should exactly find out what is the kind of mentality. But in general, so that is why Krishna consciousness doesn't look at horoscope in general, because coming to Sattva Guna, that is a general thing that you have to do, right? That you have to do. You have to, like Kshatriya, although he's supposed to be in the mode of passion, but it is not like he has to be in the material, that passion, but that is passion also. But the thing is, he should also understand Shastra, and he should learn to apply. In this way, he is gradually connecting to transcendence. So there is a mixture there, mixture of mode of goodness and passion, and directing that passion. So you should know how to direct people. So that passion should not turn into heavy lust. So he's given certain concessions. But in Kali Yuga, mostly everybody is Shudra because of habits, because of habits of cleanliness, because of habits of different things. So that needs purification. So these planets, so in these planets, whenever any planet is in exaltation, they give you wonderful effects. For example, when Jupiter is in exaltation in somebody's horoscope, I have seen those people who have Jupiter exalted, they become very good devotees. So if you find somebody with a good Jupiter exaltation and Saturn exaltation and Sun exaltation, all three, they are very good in horoscopy. So now I want you to write down something which I told at the beginning. So you can write this down, okay? Now the first house in the horoscope, it represents, different planets, different various things. How are they classified? Things come out as how to know reasonably which is under which planet. Now every planet, okay, I'll just answer this question and then come back to that. So how do we know which? So just like water department is given in charge of water. So every planet is given in charge of something. Just like we saw, moon is given in charge of the mind. So that is why so that is why the term lunatic is there. The term lunatic means during the full moon, people go mad. During the new moon, people go mad. That is when the highest crimes happen. So that is why Ekadashi fasting is given, so that from Ekadashi to new moon, Ekadashi to full moon, you can fast and control the effects of the moon. So different planets, they give different effects at different times. Now Saturn in combination with Jupiter, is giving the karma to the whole universe. What you did, as you reap, as you sow, you will reap. So, but it is better when planet, even Saturn, is in his own sign exalted. Yes. So when Saturn represents law, dharma also. So my wife has Saturn exalted. That's why I'm happy, because very dedicated and very single-minded dedication, chaste, chastity, adherence to law, that comes with Saturn. So if you want to have a very good spouse, then their Saturn should be good. Saturn also represents spirituality. So Saturn also represents spirituality. Jupiter represents spirituality. Venus to a certain degree. Venus is very much a spiritual planet actually. Venus is very powerful. So if Venus is good, you are like top class spiritualist. It's a Brahminical planet. Jupiter, Venus, they are all Brahminical. Saturn is very good. Sun represents the soul in astrology. Okay, let's go back to the first house. So the first house, it represents the body, your personality. So anyone's personality that you need to look at. So you need to look at the first house, Lagna. The second place to understand his personality is the position of the moon. So where is his moon? Okay, please clarify. Prabhupada said no need of astrology. Prabhupada, so in general devotees say, okay. In general devotees say, Prabhupada said, if you read Bhakti Raghav Maharaj's presentation of Actually, there is Prabhupada wrote an essay called Gita Nagari. If you take time out to read that, in that Prabhupada says, your Varnashrama Dharma can be determined by looking at your tendencies and looking at horoscope. And this is Prabhupada writes about horoscope in that. Prabhupada says his Guru Maharaj was a very good astrologer. Prabhupada was a yogi, so for him he did not study astrology. Prabhupada expected that devotees, when they come to the mode of goodness, when they come to the mode of goodness and pure goodness, astrology, Brahmana gets an automatic understanding of astrology in the mode of pure goodness, astrology and medicine. There's an intuitive knowledge. So you are able to read the signs, auspicious and inauspicious signs. So Prabhupada also explains that astrologically, so if devotees go beyond the mode of goodness, go to the level of pure goodness, then yes, then they are beyond astrology. Because in astrology also it says, Parashara Muni says, one who becomes a surrendered devotee of Krishna, astrology does not apply. Now, surrendered devotee of Krishna means 8 hours doing job is not, and if you are doing 8 hours job, then 100% of your money you donate to temple, or you use 100% of your money in Krishna consciousness and live with minimum, then no need of astrology. Then you can log out of the class. But as long as you are doing 8-hour job and you have a nice house, you are paying tax and you are reading news and everything, yes, then planetary effects are there. Okay. So, okay. So the first house represents your personality and also the position of the moon. Now, for example, in my horoscope, the moon is in Neecha. Moon is in Scorpio. And I was a little sad that my moon is in debilitation. Right? They say moon is weak, moon is this, moon is that. Of course, I found myself very, very emotional and this and that. So the first house you are referring to based on Lagna position. Yes, the first house is based on Lagna position. Correct, your Lagna. Now, I found, for example, in that, if moon is in Neecha, debilitation, that means he's a past life yogi. Then I got some hope. Because wherever I went to a very good astrologer, he said, he told my mother, moment I came to Krishna consciousness, so my mother ran to the astrologer, will he become sannyasi? He looked at the horoscope, said, no chance, this guy, no sannyasi. He is pure grasta. So my mother was happy. But then he said he is a past life yogi because of the moon position. He did not finish. So he is very much interested in mystical and spirituality. Then my mother got scared. What happened to his engineering? Engineering, he will not do anything. Don't worry. He'll finish his engineering, then he will forget it. The same thing happened. I did my engineering, then I took initiation, then I did my post-graduation in yoga. So after that is only inner engineering. That's all. It's not mechanical engineering. So the moon position was debilitated, but it was so whenever I see moon, somebody is debilitated. So actually it is, sometimes debilitation can also give you something. Lord Chaitanya had also a couple of planets in debilitation. But that means they have a very special significance. Means you actually overcome a particular situation to achieve something way beyond what a normal man can achieve. So that is why sometimes debilitation can also be powerful. Just like exaltation is powerful, so you should know to read. So astrology is not just the planetary position telling you that, it's not like a mechanical reading. This planet is exalted, this is the result. This planet is, you have to look at it in perspective. So that is why astrology is also the astrologer should also be pure. Right? He cannot drink coffee, this, that, and guide you in spirituality. Like I see, there are a few famous astrologers, and they smoke, drink, everything, and they tell you, this is when you, but sometimes their explanations are way off. Because they do not understand Krishna consciousness, they cannot actually guide you in that spiritual line. But for some people who want to be cheated, they are the best astrologers. Hmm? So you also got connected to the astrologer. You want to be spiritually guided or not. Hmm? Like some astrologers describe for certain things, you do yagya, yaga. I discovered only one thing in my entire astrology career, that no yajna puja will change anything. Reading of Srimad Bhagavatam will change. So the solution, the first of all, if he is a non-devotee, if he is non-vegetarian, he has to become vegetarian. Then he has to read Bhagavatam. He has to surrender to Krishna, and only then things will change. Otherwise, the things might change a little bit by some material solutions, but his mentality remains the same. You have to change the mentality which caused the sin. So that transformation has to be done with astrologer. So astrologer is not just about material, like where should I bet? Somebody comes and asks you, that is not astrology. That is a misuse of astrology, where I can do betting and this and that. It's all material. So astrology is more or less coming to the cause, karma, situation, what you are going through, and how to actually make a spiritual solution. That is real astrology. So can you tell which house the position of moon is good? So it depends, because it is not just the position of the moon, but for example, in my horoscope, the moon is, although it's debilitated, it has Jupiter Drashti. So Jupiter is exalted. So Jupiter Drashti is there. So it depends not only on the position of the moon, also on the Drishti. Which planet is giving an eye on that, the aspect. That is also important. And again, it can be in debilitation, but it can have good strength. So you have to also, so next class we will look at it. Every planet has a strength. So you have to look at the strengths. When, for example, Saturn is debilitated, that then means a person has to overcome laziness as such. When Saturn is debilitated, any planet is debilitated, every planet, remember, has a good and a negative effect, as a positive and negative effect. For example, if Saturn is very good, he's very loyal, he's very chaste. When the Saturn is debilitated, means he is not chaste. He is a cheat. He cheats from behind. I know this because I analyzed one horoscope for a certain temple president. And this lady was married 3 times already, kicked out her husbands, and her Saturn was debilitated. Then this guy fell in love at the age of 67. He's still temple president today. He got married to this lady. Saturn debilitated. No chastity. After that, more than 100 devotees over the period of 3 years were kicked out of that temple. Because she took over his position completely. So Saturn debilitated, I saw the effect there. When there is no good effect. So any planet, when there is debilitation without good effect. So in my case, there was the moon with this Jupiter good effect. So even if you slip up, but because of the Jupiter, whenever there is higher direction, you can change. But in certain cases, when the debilitation is there with no good aspects, until and unless some guru really cuts through you, you may be in Krishna consciousness. So bhakti, remember, bhakti can also be in the mode of ignorance. Bhakti can also be in the mode of passion. Bhakti can also be in the mode of goodness. Bhakti can be in the mode of pure goodness. Right? Some devotees love pizza only. So what kind of bhakta is that? Pure goodness, right? We can think goodness, passion, ignorance. We are pasta loving devotees. So anyway, it's just exemplary. All pasta loving devotees can be in the mode of pure goodness. I'm not saying no, but just saying that in general, your food describes your guna also. So when which temple, okay, that is just information. It is not for us to find out which temple, but I'm just telling you this is what happened. And when I analyze the reason, this is the reason. Your horoscope plays a role because you are not in the mode of goodness. So that is why we see every temple, there is a temple president, right? Now this temple president, depending on how much he has raised his spiritual level, so once you go beyond the level of goodness, then the horoscopical aspects does not act on you. But if you do not, if you commit offenses, then the negative effects of the horoscope will also come, of the planet that has to come to you. To the degree you purify and go to the level of goodness and pure goodness, to that degree these planetary effects will not understand. How to understand drishti and position of the planet? Yes. So drishti and position, there are certain rules. So I will share a book, a PDF book by one, I got it from Scribed, very nice. That describes many things. So I will give you lessons which you can read by yourself. It's about 200 pages. I think about 200, 300 pages. I will share in the group a PDF book. And there it is in much more detail, because within a few classes, I can give you a direction. But you have to sit down and read. It's very important to sit down and read. Okay? And understand this drishti. So drishti means every planet. For example, Jupiter has drishti in 2nd house, 5th house, 7th house, like that. 7th house, every planet has drishti. So every planet looks at 7th planet from there. So coming back to 1st house, so when we are discussing 1st house, like, okay, so the personality, so the moon and the 1st house has personality. It is said that chanting holy name purifies one of all karma. So after initiation, one is purified of all karma. So does astrology affect devotees also? Okay, again, good question, but it's the old question. I told you already that Krishna changes karma from your future births, first of all. Now you can see, even after initiation, how many devotees have changed their personality? Question, I'm asking you, right? Now mostly, if he's a white-bodied devotee, then we have a certain personality, correct? He has a certain personality. Indian-bodied devotee, you can say he's a certain personality, right? He loves idli, vada, sambar, right? White-bodied devotee is coming to your house, then what do you make? Pizza, pasta, whatever, right? I'm just giving a general example. So we have certain characteristics associated with a certain personality. Now yogic personality means, if you see, he is the same with humans, animals. He is able to communicate, he is able to be calm, he is able to relate to you at the level of the soul. So that is when he has reached the mode of pure goodness, transcendental intelligence. Till then we are purifying ourselves. Prabhupada called all his devotees, disciples, pure devotees, because as long as you are following all the rules and regulations with all sincerity and trying your best, Krishna looks at the intention in your heart. So if your intention in your heart is sincere, to the degree he does not allow the karma to affect you. But we are all affected by, to a certain degree, by lust, anger, greed. And moment your chanting becomes offensive, immediately they catch you. Your prarabdha karma becomes dominant. That is what many devotees suffer from. So moment you become offenseless chanting. So that is why the two things that can free you, if you are initiated, only two things. You can chant. You can wake up early morning. Even Rakshasas do austerity. Even Rakshasas do better austerity than devotees. But the only thing that devotee can do is sincerely love the Lord and his devotees. That is when your heart becomes offenseless. So when you become offenseless only, so offenseless, it's not about austerity, offenseless in chanting, offenseless and then sincerely reading Srimad Bhagavatam. So when you come to this level of understanding, this level of practice, when you come to the offenseless level, then yes, then the astrology, to that degree, it does not affect you. To the degree you are in the mode of passion, ignorance, to that degree, it affects you in that gross levels. So every planetary effect. So planetary effect is there. But the moment you mold yourself to the mode of pure goodness, then the modes are gone. The planetary effects are gone. So taking initiation is only a start. most devotees, when they come to me for astrology, first thing I ask, do you read Bhagavatam? 99% say, no, Prabhu. We just read 1 or 2 verses, just for namesake. Bhagavatam is meant to purify your mentality. Then the planetary effects will go away. So initiation gives you a start. And that is why you need very good leadership to guide you through that Bhagavatam. And you have to be very sincere to find such a good guide and leader. I was in Sadesati and Ketu Dasha. I found a very bad leader for some time. So it is, although I was initiated everything, but your material tendencies, as long as you come to the mode of passion and ignorance. So that is why in the Bhagavatam there is the devotee. So Daksha was a devotee. Daksha is also a devotee. That is why he became Prajapati. But he is a devotee with material tendencies. So that's what we are. We all are. We are devotees with material tendencies. In the mode of passion, he lost his head. Like even in our ISKCON society, there is one guru whose head was chopped off. That is also there. So if you do not follow the devotional principles properly, if you do not elevate yourself to the mode of goodness and pure goodness, then you suffer. There is also anarthas which come because of improperly following devotional service, not following it properly. And that also makes you suffer. Right? So it doesn't mean that devotee, sorry for being little base, but when you get questions, we have to be very clear. How many devotees you can find are, like Prabhupada said, are perfect gentlemen? Those who are sincere, very few. Even among devotees, how many have elevated themselves to the mode of pure goodness? So that is why Bhagavatam is so important. I hope that answers your question. So please understand that even as devotees, we are only at a starting point. Until and unless we are really, really fixed up and elevating to the mode of pure goodness, offenses can drag you down, can make your karma worse. Okay, I hope that answers the question, correct? Then, so now we can go to the next point. So the first house is your what? Is your personality. And the moon position defines your position of the moon. So that is why astrology has 2 starting points when you look at the horoscope. So the first one is the lagna, and second is the moon. So you always examine a horoscope from 2 perspectives. The first is the lagna, the first house, and the second is from the moon. Some people have very good horoscope in the lagna and very bad from the moon. So their external life is good, internal life is miserable. Some people have very bad horoscope from the lagna, but a very good horoscope from the moon. So perspective. So if you look at it from the moon perspective, some people's horoscope are amazing. That means they will shine in such metaphysical and spiritual sciences. So no matter what they do, they cannot be they cannot do in what other people do, like civil engineering, this, that, or some big Apple mobile or something like that, right? That is those who have good external horoscope. Some people can have both good lagna and moon. So they are good at both. If moon is in lagna, very interesting. So moon is in lagna is not a very good thing. If moon and lagna are together, they might look good. They are good looking people I have seen, but they worry a lot. They have bad marriages. So moon in lagna is not good. I have seen those who have moon in lagna have very difficult marriages. They have moony marriages, right? So every time it goes off with the moon. So it could go off. I've analyzed so many horoscopes. So those who have moon in Lagna, they are very worrisome. They make like way off decisions. So moon in Lagna, moon in the 7th house, these are not good positions. But if moon is in Lagna, is in exaltation, then it's different. So the aspect is important. So every time you want to analyze an horoscope, so the first house is, so the first house and the 7th house are, 7th house influences the first house directly. 7th house is your spouse. So 7th house is not just your spouse, it is also the surrounding of you. So spouse means that whom you are with all the time, right? Rather with whom you suffer all the time. No, sorry. Rather with whom you perform dharma all the time, right? That is your spouse. So they are meant to do dharma with you. So the 7th house represents the spouse, and not just the spouse, it represents the whom you associate with. So moon is in Lagna, then you have to do a solution, kind of, you have to give a Godan, give a cow donation, similar things. You can also donate Bhagavatam. On the full moon, you can feed the Brahmanas and read Bhagavatam on the full moons. So today is full moon, So moon is in Lagna. It's not very good. So that is why if they are different, then you have different perspectives. So that is why they say many a times those with same Rashi should not marry. Because what happens is when you have the same Rashi, when you have the same moon position, then when the Sadesati comes, the Saturn return, when Sadesati comes, both are going through the same Sadesati at the same time. Then it hits them really badly. Both are stressed out. One is stressed out, the other can handle. When both are stressed out, then you have to surrender to Guru completely. Then there is no option. You have to come to mode of pure goodness, like Raja Harishchandra or something. So, but in general, for some people, so Sadesati is also, it's not that it has to be all bad. Depending on your karma, it can sometimes, very rarely, but in very rare cases, it can turn out to be good also. So anyways, so the first house and the moon is your perspective in a horoscope. Second house represents your wealth. So if you have to look at somebody's wealth, so you look at second house and 11th house. So wealth. Now here wealth, Venus position not only gives your wealth, but also gives your spiritual wealth. Venus. So wealth, Venus is a very significant, and Venus represents spiritual wealth, material wealth, both. Now the third house represents communication, younger brothers. So how your communication is. So that's basically air. So Mercury is responsible for communication. So Mercury is very important. Mercury and Saturn are two important planets. So they are in charge of the communication department. So Mercury is the topmost planet of communication, actually. So then the fourth house represents the house you are in. Fourth house also represents your mother. In the horoscope, moon also represents your mind and your mother. Represents your house, represents your mother. And fifth house represents your Purva Punya. So whenever any planet, yeah, this lecture is being recorded. There are some controversial points. I won't delete it, but I'll still upload it. Whoever has to shoot me can shoot. So anyways, so the fifth house has is representing Purva Punya. So Purva Punya, so whenever any planet which is in the fifth house, the dasha starts. So dasha of the fifth house starts. So that means his Purva Punya is coming. So that's a good sign. Means that dasha will give you all the good results of the Purva Punya, not Papa. Sadesati gives you the results of your Purva Papa. Right? And by the end of this in Kannada, we say Papa, means over, everything is gone. So Sadesati. So, but fifth house Lord, fifth house planet, so that represents Purva Punya. Good. Fifth house also represents children. So children, so in the Bhagavatam it says, right, Artho Graha Kshetra Sutapta Vittai. So it comes from the previous Punya, right? So in Bhagavatam it says you can have 4 types of kids. The first type of kid is debtor, from whom you took loan last time, your last life bank manager, right? Debtor. The second is enemy. So your enemy comes this birth to take revenge. After you are 50, he will take all your savings. The third is dharmi. Dharmi means he uses you for doing his dharma. He's not bad, but he's doing dharma, he's just using you. Oh, you want lunch? Oh, my mother is there. Just go home, have lunch. She's there. It doesn't even check whether mother is okay. It's dharmic, using parents for anything. The last one is one who glorifies his parents, who understands his, that is the putra. That is the real putra. Dharmi is also a little bit okay. So you have 75% chance of not getting a good child, right? Debtor, enemy. So that is why Garbhadhana Sanskara is important. So 25% chance you will get a good child. So, but it's okay. 50% chance is still there. It's still okay, that is why Purva Punya, fifth house, kids, So if your fifth house is not good, like some people have Ketu in the fifth house, which is good for spirituality. But if you have Ketu in the fifth house, definitely first child will have a problem. Either the death of the child, death of the mother, or serious problem. So fifth house Ketu is not very good for kids. So, so fifth house, then sixth house represents enemies. Sixth house also represents enemies, and sixth house also represents health. So sixth house is also a bad house. For example, third house, sixth house, they are all bad houses. Third, sixth, eighth, 12th, they are considered bad houses. So what happens is, if there are bad planets in the bad houses like Saturn, Mars, they are in these houses, Rahu, Ketu, they are in 6th, 12th, 3rd house, then it's good, because bad planet in a bad house gives a good effect. Okay? And 7th house, so I'll quickly wind up now. So I have 10 more minutes, then my wife has a class. So then 7th house represents your spouse, not only your spouse, but it also represents your surroundings. So if your 7th house is Jupiter, not only will you get a dharmic wife or husband, but also your surroundings will also be dharmic. But what you do with that is up to you. You can be in that setting and you can create a mess also. It gives you an environment, that's all. Just like that temple president's wife. You can have a good environment And you can be envious and you can commit Vaishnava Aparadha. But it gives you an environment. What you do with that environment depends on your first house. Depends on your spiritual knowledge. Depends on your personality. So, okay. By the way, I want to tell you a quick story about speaking about temple president. Once in the court of Lord Rama, one dog came and was ringing the bell outside. And Lord Ram came. He said, "What happened?" I'll cut the story very short. Just remembered, so I wanted to tell you. And he was ringing the bell. Lord Ram came and said, "Why are you ringing the bell? What happened?" Lord Ram was obliged to come out because it is dharma. He said, "This Brahmana is throwing stone at me." Really? This Brahmana is throwing stone at you. He asked that Brahmana, "Are you throwing stone at this dog?" So Brahmana readily agreed. "I did. Lord Rama, I did that. I cannot tell lies to you. I also abused that dog." So Lord Rama asked that dog, "This is a very unique situation. What do you want? Since you are a talking dog, what do you want punishment for that Brahmana?" So the dog points out a finger on top of that hill in front. "Do you see that temple?" Lord Ram says, "Yes, beautiful temple. I know that temple. I want this Brahmana to be the head of that temple." Lord Rama is shocked. "What? You want him to be the head of that temple? This is in Treta Yuga, remember. You want him to be the head of that temple?" "Yes." He said, "Why?" "Because last life I was the head of that temple. So I was the head of that temple. I became very egoistic. I committed Vaishnava offense. And that's why this life I became a dog." So until and unless we go above the mode of goodness, when we go above these astrological effects, or even if we are very good Brahmanas in the mode of goodness or pure goodness, until then to become a spiritual leader is a dangerous thing. Because if you commit offenses, it is very dangerous. It strikes you back very badly. And all of us experience it to a certain degree. So the point is that once you get leadership, it's a great opportunity to grow because you are serving the devotees in a very nice way. But if you commit offenses, there is also negative effects which will come through, which you can see through the negative effects of astrology, astrological positions. Okay, we were in the 7th house. So 8th house represents longevity. 8th house represents research. 8th house also represents kind of travel and sannyas. Prabhupada had 4 planets in the 8th house. Bhaktisiddhanta also. So 8th house, when you have a strong 8th house and when you have a strong Saturn, so that means they are very good in research. If you have a Saturn in the 8th house, so Saturn in the 8th house is your longevity. 8th house also represents research. If you have 2 planets in 8th house, then they are very much into research. Like I have Saturn and Mercury in the 8th house. So you are very much into research. So 8th house is representative of Gupta Jnana, means secret knowledge, deeper knowledge. Gupta Jnana, secret knowledge. So that is there. So that is 8th house. 9th house is Dharma. So 9th house is Dharma. Father, Guru, spirituality. So if you want to see somebody's good Guru, spirituality, all these things, so that is all in the 9th house. 10th house represents your occupation. So when Varnashrama, when you want to check somebody's occupation, then you look at the 10th house. So then you look at 10th house. And then That is 10th house, occupation. So Varnashrama occupation, you have to look at 10th house. 9th house and 10th house. So for example, if 9th and 10th house exchange, right? If they exchange, then it is called Dharma Karmadipati Yoga. Means he is doing a spiritual occupation, and whatever he does, he will benefit. His occupation will benefit the spirituality, you know. So whatever money he earns, so he will use it for dharmic purposes. So Dharma Karmadipati Yoga. 10th house is your occupation. So 11th house is your, what do you call it? Like marginal profits, your elder brothers, elder siblings, and your marginal profit, secondary income. So if you have some planets in the 11th house, it is good. Your profit levels, secondary profits are good. 11th house. 7th lord in the 11th house, marriage lord in the 11th house. Then your spouse, with your spouse, you will get profit. You will be well situated. So you will have, means whoever is there, you will be financially doing well together. You know, it's a good thing. 12th house is dharma. 12th house is loss, but it is just not just loss. It is also house of moksha and spirituality. So 9th and 12th house, 5th, 9th, 12th house are representative of dharma and spirituality. 2nd house is artha, that is financial house. 7th house is kama. Kama is the desire, the spouse, the surrounding, you know, like that. So dharma, artha, kama. Now kama already includes dharma and artha. Remember that. So dharma, artha, kama, moksha. Moksha also already includes dharma, artha, kama. So you are already, until you reach the level of material frustration or material satisfaction, you cannot go to the next level, because your material desire will drag you back. So that is why in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Raga Dvesha Vimuktestu Vishayan Indriyesh Charan Ashma Vader Vishaya Atma Vader Videya Atma Prasadam Adhigacchati. One who overcomes Raga Dvesha Vimuktestu Vishayan Indriyesh Charan, and then he is able to control the sensory push. Atma Vashair Videya Atma, he is able to control the body and the mind. So astrology should be used to understand what is in store, how to plan your spiritual life. Then, so how does 9th and 10th house exchange? Is the lord of 9th house, lord of 10th house, they go into each other's houses. So suppose you have Mercury and Moon. So in the next houses, the lord of next two houses. So Mercury is sitting in the house of the Moon and Moon is sitting in the house of Mercury, something like that. So they exchange, the lords of the house exchange. They sit in each other's house. So that is, you have to see, when one planet is sitting in one house, the lord of that planet is sitting in this house, you know, it makes the exchange. All right, so this was what I wanted to explain for today. Hope it was beneficial. Hope it was spiritually and materially oriented both ways, to make it the Vaishnava perspective of astrology. So any questions? Are there any special mantras to recite before studying astrology or reading a chart? Who is the deity of astrology? Is Surya Narayana. So we saw that Surya Narayana, Atma Karaka. See, the science of Surya Siddhanta. Surya Siddhanta is given by Surya Deva to in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, what is that? Imam vivasvate yogam proktavan aham avyayam vivasvan manave praha. So whom did he give it to? Manu. But who gave it to Surya? It is Krishna himself, Surya Narayana. So that is why in the Gayatri, so that is why Brahmana chants Brahma Gayatri. So Brahma Gayatri is transcendental. So Malati Mataji said, Prabhupada said that if you chant Gayatri purely, even once you get liberated. So Lord of each planet is fixed, yes, just like the husband is fixed for this life. Once you get married, so Lord of each planet is fixed. It's not like they decide tomorrow, let me be the Lord of this one. No, these are all serious things, once they're fixed. Can we post our questions in the group? I will keep a Word doc where all devotees can add their questions. You can just add it in the group. Yeah, we can keep a Word doc. Yeah, you can keep a count, like, because when in the chat it keeps going further back and further. Definitely you can keep like a Google doc and you can share maybe. Can brahmachari study astrology or is it meant for grahasthas? It is meant for anybody who is interested. Not vyabhichari, only brahmachari. One who is sincerely brahmachari. One who has controlled his senses. Brahminical knowledge is only for those who have controlled their senses. Those who are following Varanashram. Those who are following Dharma, they can understand astrology. Do you follow Surya Siddhanta? What is the difference between moon and sun theory? So the thing is, Surya Siddhanta gives you the position of the planets. How they move, why they move. What karma makes them move. So that is already, with those calculations only, you get Panchanga. And whatever is derived in the different astrological scriptures is derived from the Surya Siddhanta. So we are all following Surya Siddhanta anyway. Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur decoded the Surya Siddhanta and gave the exact motion of the planets. He knew it so perfectly. So we are following Surya Siddhanta only, of course, not from the base, because to understand all the formulas and everything, okay, that's tough. But you, nowadays with the softwares, you are already calculated with all those formulas and everything. And now you get the horoscope from where you can read these things. Okay, so I think we can, it's 7:56. So in 4 minutes, my wife has another class. So we have to stop here. And we can keep asking questions in the WhatsApp group. Is there a Sanskrit name for earth like Surya or sun? Bhumi, Prithvi. Bhumi, right? So that is the name. Can you give next class assignment? Yes, for the next class, I will share the, so in an hour or two, I will share the book, the astrology book I was talking about. Then what I want all of you to do is write the character. So the 12 Rashis, Mesha, Vrashabha, all those 12 Rashis, their Lord, from the book you can find out. And planetary character, sun, moon, all the 9 planets, the planetary character. I will put all this in the group. Brihat Parashara Hora Smriti. So which planet is lorded by which avatar of Krishna? What effects they give, positive and negative. So all these are your assignment. So you have to be a little intense. So astrology again, it's an open-ended thing. Means you can study whatever I have spoken, this is good. But then you want to go deeper, understand the knowledge deeper, yes. Then you have to do the sadhana. Then you have to study. That is sadhana. Okay. How to know from horoscope, can we learn astrology or not? Okay. So there are different degrees of understanding. So the first level of understanding is like any basic Vedic Aryan, Vedic person, he knows the basics of astrology, like Ekadashi. Today is 11th day of the moon. You have Purnima, Amavasya. In Amavasya, even for example, even my grandmother knew astrology. When she heard that Americans went to the moon, I was discussing this. So my grandmother said, how can they go? It is Swargaloka. I was like, my grandmother knows they cannot go. She doesn't know astrology. So basic knowledge of astrology even she had. Our ancestors had. Without studying astrologically, she did not know even to read or write. But she said, how can they go to the moon? I was like surprised. My grandma is telling this. So, so that basic knowledge anybody can have, like basic wisdom. But then you want to go precisely deeper, there is karma or you can create your own. So that is the thing. So devotional service, so that is what is sadhana. So sadhana means you make the best out of your situation. So the more you come to sattva guna, so more you perform devotion, kleshagni, all these negative things go away and Krishna gives you special. So that is why there is free will. So knowledge is to the degree you thirst, you can achieve. Astrologically, so many people, if you read material astrologers, this cannot do, that cannot do, it's all about different things. But if you are sincere, possibilities are unlimited. You have to sincerely try, then Krishna will give you. Modern science shows Earth is in between Venus and Mars. How to see it? Anya kaun hai yaar? Oh, okay. So I have to end up now. Actually, the next class is starting. So I will answer these questions. Please put them in the WhatsApp group. I will answer all these questions in the next class. Okay. Where is excelling is mentioned in astrology in chart? Yes, I will answer all these questions in the next class. Keep adding your questions. I have to end here. I'm sorry. So we will do the same time next week. Okay.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Much for
Hare
all.
Krishna.
Okay. Hare
Thank you
Krishna.
so much.
Just end here. Then we can see you all next week. Can you all press leave? Is that possible? Then I can add the next person for the next class. Huh? Okay. Hare Krishna.